Racing drivers like to circle certain racetracks on their calendar, whether they be races where they think they could get a win or races that they know will be critical for their championship chances. Needless to say, tonight's race at Talladega Superspeedway has been circled by everyone, as at the end of tonight, just 8 of the playoff drivers will advance to the next round, and anyone can win this race. Hello fans, and welcome to Alabama for the SKSimRacing.com 250, which you're about to see live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Here to call the action is myself, Samuel Ryman, along with Sean Crackers Ambrose. Our director, Joe Peak, is doing all the button pushing from behind the scenes, and he is using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, a lot of people like comparing Talladega to Daytona, and while I think of Daytona much like the planet Saturn, it's a large planet which looks spectacular and it's an amazing sight. Talladega is more like Jupiter. It's just big, and there's a massive storm in the middle of it.
Sam, big, wide, luxurious Talladega Superspeedway, 2.66 miles of death-defying fun and madness, 33 degrees of banking. You know, the big one, yeah, it even has its own wiki page. Thanks for that note, Sam. I didn't even know that. The big one could have a massive impact on who makes the playoffs. So this track certainly notorious for that aforementioned big one. Listen, this is Alabama rich in college football history, but Talladega Superspeedway has stolen some of the sports headlines over the years here in this state, and has been a staple here since 1968. Of course, famous for stock car racing, they've raced just about everything here or tested everything here at one time or another. Now, originally it opened as Alabama International Motor Speedway, and they didn't change that until 1989. And the Speedway has hosted a Talladega 500 Cup race for many years. And you know what? We don't do generally your standard GSRC lap guide here for super speedways, but I will tell you that this track, there isn't a much more fun track on a NASCAR circuit to go see an oval race at than here at Talladega. The infield is full of life. It is a massive undertaking, a massive party like none have ever seen. The Talladega Boulevard, which basically splits the speedway down the middle from one end to the other, is one of the most vibrant places on earth after about 8 o'clock in the evening until about 4 in the morning, Sam. Just to give you a little history of what may happen here on a race weekend, the old saying is, what happens at Dega stays at Dega. And tonight, we look to find a winner here to maybe lock themselves into the playoffs, because Sam, tonight's the cutoff to round 2.
Absolutely, it is, Sean. So that does make me wonder, when we talk about this track being like Jupiter in planetary terms, is that big red storm in the middle, the big red spot, is that actually the big one on the racetrack, or is it what's going on down there in Talladega Boulevard at night time? I'm never really sure what actually gets more wild.
That's the Boulevard. Trust me. It doesn't get any more wild than it gets on the Boulevard. And I'm not. Just think like Woodstock, but people from the South. Okay, just imagine everybody from the South decided to travel north to go to Woodstock. It's a merging of those two cultures. It's amazing and it's incredible. And I'm so proud, so happy that I got to do it several times. In fact, in the intro, the picture of me and the crew, that actually was shot at Talladega Super Speedway. Sam, tonight, though, this is the SKSimRacing.com 250. Let me tell you a little bit about tonight's race sponsor. They are SK Sim Racing. You can find them at SKSimRacing.com. They specialize in computer components, gaming items, and electronic peripheral devices. If you're looking for something specific in this area, message them. We may have it in their pipeline. Now, currently, they're giving 10% off on one item with the code. Now, get this code, everyone, SSCA. They'll accept that code until October 31st of this year. October 31st. That has a familiar ring to it. Oh, that's right. It's Halloween. So you have until Halloween to get 10% off on one item with SK globalsimracing.com. Tonight's winner of the race, Sam, is getting a set of SteelSeries Arctics 3 gaming headsets, courtesy of sksimracing.com. So we've upped the ante tonight. Not only do you need a win to get into the playoffs, but you need a win to get yourself a pretty snazzy set of headphones and look them up, and I'm considering it. I might just have to throw down some bucks on that.
And among those drivers who will be looking for a win to lock themselves into the playoffs, Sean, for the first time this season is, well, for the first time since the playoffs started, is Joe Johnson. He actually finds himself with an opportunity to advance to round 2 of a playoffs, be one of the 8 drivers advancing. Let's take a look at our championship standings here, and you're going to bring us up to speed here with our news since Las Vegas.
Yes, let's do that real quick. All right, so Joe Johnson's got the blue on his truck. He had to add some blue to that scheme, and there's a reason. Steve Seegers, well, he's not with us anymore. He's been removed from the league. It was found out in tech that he was not the one actually racing the truck that evening. So he's been DQ'd from the series, and this has moved Joe Johnson up into the playoffs. However, as you mentioned, Joe Johnson's going to need a win tonight to advance to the second round. So you got one shot. What better track to get it than at Talladega? But there's Chris Scala. He's locked in. He's the only driver locked in right now on the basis of a win. William Hartman there in second. Daniel Jackson with a playoff point there. Mark Donahue, Judd Danielson, Mark McFadden, Kevin Fetty, and Ray Richer round out the 8 that can get in, and sitting there on the bubble, you got Martin, Sean Callist, Robert McFarland, and Joe Johnson, who we just talked about, of course. They really need some help. They've got a win to get in here tonight, Sam, but tell you what, it's Talladega, and that means anybody has a shot at this one tonight.
You know, the other thing that could really mix the points up here tonight, Sean, is the fact that we have a huge field. The SSCA has really opened up this race to drivers who we wouldn't otherwise see in this truck. We've got about 30 trucks out there, and with the points being so close from about 7th back to 11th, that means these drivers are on the verge of being in or out of a playoffs. They're really going to have to hope they're not one of the ones involved in the big one tonight.
Yeah, and that's where qualifying is going to be so important. Yeah, Jeff Martin, Sean Callis, Robert McFarland, Joe Johnson, they're going to need to be on their game with the qualifying run here. It's going to be a lone qualifying session. There'll be no chance to draft or anything. And Sam, they've only allotted 5 minutes, which basically means you're going to get 2 laps in, and that'll be about the best you can do. So the first one is a much slower lap because you're getting that truck wound up to speed, and you don't really hit full speed until you maybe get through 3 and 4 and off onto the front stretch. But so qualifying going to be at a premium. Those drivers want to be in front of the big one and not behind it. When they get to flying all over the track like we saw a couple times in practice this evening, it will be tough to avoid that, because then when it erupts, it just forms a wall in front of you, and finding that spot to get through rarely never works out.
And normally, Sean, we'd say, well, a good way to stay out of trouble early on here is to start from the pits. However, a lot of trucks today are going to be starting from the pits. As we mentioned, a 30-truck field, and some of these are drivers who have came across from the other series in the SSCA. Those drivers will be forced to start from pit road. So we're going to see essentially 2 different starts going on at the beginning of this then.
Yeah, we've got a couple different starts to cover because of, the fact that they open this up to everybody tonight. So why don't we look at the race details here real quick as we're getting ready to start qualifying here. Drivers pulling off, getting ready to get their cue sets in. Sam, let's throw down those details now. Of course, this is the 3rd race of the first round of the playoffs. It's cutoff night, and these, of course, are the trucks of the NASCAR Camping World Series here on iRacing. The Chevrolet and the Toyota. They've not found room for that Ford yet. It is a fixed setup. So really here in qualifying, the only thing drivers are going to be able to adjust, Sam, is their steering ratio. And that can be a bit of a big deal here at Talladega. Tire allotment, well, you'll get 5 sets. The set you start on with, and the 4 remaining, and you can use those whenever you want. Look for maybe drivers to only do 2 tires tonight, left or right side. So Talladega, a little bit easier on tires, certainly not the right sides, but the left sides, you can sometimes get away with that strategy. 2 incidents cause, if you are responsible for 2 incidents on this track this evening, basically you caused the wreck, then you will be disqualified from the session. And green, white, checkered, well, what does that mean? Well, that means you're going to get a chance to finish this race under a green flag. Should there be a caution late, then they will actually forego the pace car as it goes around in the closing laps, and they will go green, white, checker for an attempt to finish this race under green, Sam. And the points will be calculated carefully. We'll be keeping an eye on that. And qualifying is now underway.
Yeah, these drivers split the race into 3 stages. So at the end of stages 1 and 2, we will count up points of the drivers who are competing in the playoffs and see who's looking handy. And there you see how these stages are going to be broken down tonight. The first stage will be 20 laps. The second stage will be 27 laps. And the third stage will be 47 laps. They've actually adjusted it a little bit in the closing moments here. Ahead of this race is going to be a 94-lap race. But as we mentioned, 2 laps to get your best qualifying lap down. And you mentioned, before we start getting these qualifying times rolling in here, Sean, you mentioned about the 5 sets of tyre allotment here at Talladega today. When we take a look at the weather, it's fairly cool track temperature out there, just 92 degrees Fahrenheit. I have a feeling tyre wear isn't going to be much of a concern. We have seen races earlier this season where tyre strategy, especially during that closing stage, has played a factor. I don't think we'll see a whole lot of that here tonight down in Alabama.
Yeah, I think they're going to play it pretty straight up, Sam. The tire strategy shouldn't, or lack thereof tonight, really shouldn't be that hard to figure out. But we'll see. You never know. I mean, if we get a bunch of cautions in this race, then maybe a few guys might try and pull a rabbit out of a hat. Remember, we've got those snazzy headphones available to the race winner tonight. So look for guys to maybe take a chance. There's a pretty good nugget at the top of the mountain here to climb tonight.
Looking at Jeremy Crandall on track here, I think has been a bit of a glitch in the timing for him, Sean. It actually counted his first qualifying lap as his out lap, which normally it doesn't do at Talladega, and that's really going to cost him.
I don't know what you would have had done to make that happen, but that is interesting, Sam. Jeff Martin just goes to the pole with a 54.986. Only driver with that 54 on his second lap. He does that. Only a few drivers have gotten that second lap in. Still a bunch of drivers waiting to qualify here, Sam. And they may not just qualify at all at this point. Only a minute and a half left.
Yeah, so a lot of drivers running 56s for the first lap as they go around on the high line. So yeah, Jeremy Crandall, even though he's sitting in 5th right now, he's going to be bumped all the way to the back of the drivers who turned a lap in qualifying. Judd Danielson just went to 3rd on his second lap, and watching Daniel Jackson make his way through the D Oval right now. It must be said, the only playoff driver who I haven't seen show up on the roster tonight so far, as Daniel Jackson goes to provisional pole. The only playoff driver not here right now is Chris Scala. Doesn't affect things a whole lot, Sean. Yeah. He's already locked in. Although he could have earned some bonus points tonight if he was here.
Well, certainly, and you'd like to maybe pad that a little bit, but he is in, and listen, we know this. Sometimes life gets in the way of iRacing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he is in, and whereas the bonus points would have been nice, they're not incredibly necessary. So, I'm sure we'll see Scala when we return here to the Sim Speed Shop Truck Series.
So only 10 seconds left of qualifying, And I don't know if it's because a lot of these drivers are under that restriction that they can't start from the grid anyway because of coming from the AdPro Challenger and the Cup Series. But only 12 trucks turned a lap during qualifying.
Yeah.
So the round 19 winner of the Sim Speed Shop Pole Award is Daniel Jackson. Now, for every 2 poles a season, the driver earns $5, and the driver with the most poles at the end of the season earns $20, courtesy of simspeedshop.com, which is a great place to order custom button boxes, as well as to buy and sell used equipment. For more information, you can go to simspeedshop.com. So, man, we got our playoff drivers, a lot of our playoff drivers starting towards the front here, Sean, and they will be wanting those stage points at the end of lap 20.
Yes, Sam, here we go. Time to call out the grid. Take it away.
So Daniel Jackson will be starting from the pole position ahead of Jeff Martin. Joe Johnson, he is one driver who will definitely need a win tonight. If he is to advance, he'll be starting in 3rd place. Judd Danielson starting back and forth ahead of Jason Eisenhower. Michael Dillard, the first driver without a J as one of his initials, starting back in 6th position ahead of Sean Callist and Jeremy Crandall. Ray Richter will be starting from 9th ahead of Gary Sheldon, rounding up the top 10. Oh, no, Gary Sheldon just lost the connection. Sean.
Oh, no, that's going to definitely change things up a bit. Well, we'll go on screen here. Row 6 is going to be Mark McFadden in a number 48, and then it's going to be Robert McFarland in a double lot, starting on his outside, and then row 7 is going to be Andrew Farnyars, and Dylan C. Jones in the number 23 will start 14th. Row 8 is going to be David Washington in number 98, and Kyle Barnes is with us tonight in number 51. Row 9 going to be Richard Regan Jr., and Eric Stanford will start 18th. Row 10, Josh Bonwell and Adam Eisenhower.
So let's go to page number 3. All of these drivers not turning the lap in qualifying. It starts with William Hartman and Gerald Campbell. William Davis will be back in 23rd ahead of David Gervais. Kevin Fetty and Mike Donahue will start behind them on row 13 ahead of Rusco, Gerald Heffley and Derek Fisher. Gary Sheldon has gotten back into the session, but he is not on track, so he will start from the pits. And it looks like the info we gave earlier, Sean, was slightly incorrect. Even though the drivers from the other series were not able to put a time in qualifying, it doesn't look like a pit star. Then we just have a lot of them starting at the back of the field.
Okay, well, it's their call. No problem. We'll be ready on this end to call live. And Sam, it's a long way around. Hopefully we can avoid a lot of the cautions this evening because well, let's face it, the pace
there's been a pile up on the front straight, Sean. One truck did not get going. Mike Donahue has damage, one of our playoff contenders. Gerald Campbell, Adam Eisenhower, Derek Fisher also caught in that stack up. What in the wide world of sports is going on? Well, Mike Donahue is one of the big ones there. One of our playoff contenders there. It's on the far right of your screen. A bit of a stack up. He's got some damage to his number 70 truck, and we haven't even started yet.
Sam, Gerald Campbell stopped in the middle of the track on the front stretch, and everybody piled in behind him. I don't know why. I don't know what happened here. But boy, as we get back live here, that's really going to shake things up here, Sam. Awful strange. I'm not hearing anything from race control on that yet either. The lights are out on the pace car. We're going to go.
Daniel Jackson will have control of the field. See the blue banner at the top of his number 84 Toyota Tundra, getting set to lead the field for the first of 94 laps, 20 laps for this opening stage, the last race before the second round of the playoffs. 8 drivers will advance to continue to fight for the championship, Will Daniel Jackson be one of them? Well, right now, for those about to race, we salute you, because Daniel Jackson is on the loud pedal, as are the rest of the trucks behind him. We are racing here at Talladega.
We are off and running. They are side by side to the middle of turn 1 and 2.
Gonna take them a while to all build up to speed, 160 miles an hour as they enter the back straight. Building up a speed, already going 170. They'll put some of the drivers at the back with the draft will probably be hitting 180 before they get to turn 3, 2 by 2.
Tell you who's establishing a run early. It's Josh Bonwell, already moving up fast through the field to number 56 on the outside, just behind a number 43. As they come down the straight.
Coming around to complete lap 1, and as they do so, they put Robert McFarland a lap down, one of our playoff drivers, still sitting in the pits in the 00.
Something happened with McFarland, Sam. We'll keep running here. We're having a small technical problem. We'll fix it. But McFarland obviously had something go wrong there at the start. I'm thinking maybe hardware failure of some kind. But the battle up front is still intense. They're side by side all the way down the super stretch here.
You're going to be doing a bit of radio commentary here for just a couple of laps. We'll try and get picture back as soon as we can. Right now, though, it's still pretty much as it looked at the start. They're going 2 by 2. Daniel Jackson having the nose out in front of a number 84 machine as they come around to complete lap 2. Judd Danielson and Jeff Martin continue to run side by side for second. The lead pack is made up of the top 17 drivers, and then after that, things have broke up a bit.
Sam, yeah, we've got 2 distinct packs on the track right now. This one up front, the bottom line seems to be the one that's moving a little bit better right now, marginally better, as the top side seems to be able to hang with them. You've got Jackson and Martin still at the front of this race. Dullard, Danielson right behind him. And they are shuffling, man. Trucks are dancing a little bit through the turn. That's not a good situation. You got to be very careful. Hold on to that wheel and try not to scuff off any speed, because if you do that, the guy behind you is most certainly going to get under that bumper.
We're working to get a picture back as soon as possible. We'll tell you they're coming around completing lap number 3 right now. Daniel Jackson continues to lead the field. He's out on his own. Judd Danielson also kind of starting to break away from that pack in second place. Both of those two on the low line. So Daniel Jackson leading, Judd Danielson in second. From third on back, they continue to be side by side with Jeff Martin on the high side and Joe Johnson on the low side. But Jeff Martin actually getting a nice push from Michael Dullard up high. And temporarily, that was bringing the high line up alongside the leaders. So, Sean, the drivers up high trying to work together and take a fight to the drivers down low as they come around to complete lap number 4. Jeff Martin almost getting alongside our race leader, Daniel Jackson.
Okay, so Jeff Martin has a very important job to do here, Sam, and that is keep the truck stable, keep it steady so the guys behind him can get up behind and try and get that line moving. Right now, not moving enough as the bottom line still has the edge. Danielson down there looking to maybe find an advantage on Daniel Jackson, stepping the truck out a little bit. You've also got to be careful not to get too hot. And what does that mean? Well, it means getting that bumper to one side or the other of the truck behind and trying to find some air to get in that vent there on the bottom of the splitter.
17 trucks still make up the lead pack. There was almost a 3-wide scenario for about 5th, 6th, and 7th place going through turns number 3 and 4. But I have a feeling, Sean, that was a bit of what you were talking about with drivers trying to get clean air. That was Jeremy Crandall just trying to get away from the other drivers.
There was one spot there, Mark, as it was Mark McFadden, I think it was, got by Ray Richer. That was for P10.
All right, and we apologize for the technical difficulties early on. We return here to Talladega. Got our cameras set up, and you can see it pretty much looks exactly the same as it did at the start of this thing. Daniel Jackson and Jeff Martin remaining up front in their respective lines on the low side and the high side, but Judd Danielson working well with Daniel.
Sam, 3 wide. Callis throws it in the middle. No, that's not Callis. I'm sorry, it's a 73 at Jeremy Crandall. Oh, watch out! Contact with the 15. Look at that. Crandall brought it up through the middle and drops Jeff Martin. Made a little contact with him door to door.
And you'll notice there's no blue banner on Jeremy Crandall's truck. He's not racing here for points. He's trying to get the win and just have fun out there tonight. Oh boy, a bit of a bump draft almost gone wrong from behind by Jeff Martin there.
Boy, yeah, you certainly don't want to do it going into the turn. That's never good. And a close call avoided, but Crandall just came up through the field and said, you know what, I'm tired of sitting back up here. Let me get on point. So Crandall is on point on that outside line, which still just doesn't seem to be running quick enough to make a move on the leaders. But Crandall's got to run. He's got to run on Daniel Jackson.
Jackson led the last time by. Crandall was leading into turn 1. Of course, that doesn't really count for anything. You almost see Judd Danielson sticking his nose out. I wonder if the temperatures in the number 17 machine are getting a little warm.
Well, here we go. Crandall's out front. Is he going to drop down? He can't. He can't do it. Jackson is still there. Thought we had a moment there. I thought he was going to leave his dance partner and try to take that inside line. It didn't work out. Didn't get quite far enough in front of Crandall. Didn't get far enough in front of Jackson.
Now for Robert McFarland fans, we'll let you know he did eventually get the 00 truck going, but he is 2 laps down in 28th position. Only 28 starters, no Gerald Heffley out there today.
Yeah, well, you know what? Gerald could get some help from the lucky dog here throughout the race. So, Robert can get some help here before the end of the race, Sam, with the lucky dog. So, we'll hold good for him. Up front, though, it's still Jackson, Danielson right behind him, and Crandall trying to find room on the outside.
It's scary how many blue banners there are at the front of this pack here, Sean, considering how roughly a couple of these drivers have been racing here in the early stages. If things go wrong up front here, that would be significant in the playoff points.
Yeah, Sam, it'll make a huge difference. Again, we do have 2 packs running. We've really been following the action here in the front pack because, well, let's face it, that's where most of our championship leaders are at. But as we look back, you've got this 5 trucks here. And, I mean, the gap is not tremendous, Sam. They're not that far behind, only just under 3.5 seconds. But they're going to need a pretty good run. Probably, honestly, just need to survive until the end of the stage, until everybody gets bunched back up for another restart here.
There was almost a bit of a moment in the lead pack going down the back straight. Joe Johnson had to take to the apron. One thing that's about to happen here in the coming lap, Sean, we have seen one incident so far today as Judd Danielson now leads the pack around. We have seen one incident, and that was before the start of the race when Mike Donohue, one of our playoff contenders, got a bit of damage. It is affecting him. That number 70 is going a lap down.
It is, and Judd Danielson is now in the lead of this race. They've gone single file, Sam, as they head now down the super stretch into turn 3.
Now, the real bad news for Robert McFarland about Mike Donohue going a lap down is Mike Donohue will get the wave around when our stage-ending caution comes out in about 10 laps. If it doesn't come out before then, and Robert McFarland will still be trapped 2 laps down.
Well, the leaders are running in a very, very tight pack right now. 6 trucks. They've got a little bit of a breakaway now. This can only work to their advantage, but you know what? If this pack behind them, led by Will Davis, if they kind of get in a line there, all unified, they've got another chance here to get to the back of them. And it's only just under a second right now. There's the gap on screen.
Yeah, well, I think this pack broke up a couple of laps ago, Sean, when there was a bit of a moment down the back straight where, I mean, no one got sideways, but a couple of drivers had to make evasive moves to make sure they all didn't wreck. None more so than Joe Johnson, who took all the way to the apron. He's only back here in 8th place right now. He's only a second off of the leaders. It could have been a lot worse.
Sam, halfway through the stage. This has been a fun opening to this event tonight. Ooh, oh man, Jackson was really loose behind Danielson. Here they come. Jackson getting that push from Jeremy Crandall. Jackson's now your leader.
So Daniel Jackson to the top once again. He led early on in this race. Crandall has also had a chance leading today. A driver who hasn't had that chance yet is Josh Bonwell. Bonwell started all the way back in 19th. He's up there in 3rd right now. A couple other bigger movers in this lead pack. Josh Bonwell is up there as well. He started in 19th place. Gerald Campbell started in 22nd. He's up there. William Davis started in 23rd. He's also up there in the 2nd pack.
Definitely doing some bunt drafting in this pack.
And the reason we're seeing these playoff drivers risk racing like this, Sean, is because they know the points are very tight and they need all the points they can get. And if they are able to hold on and get those bonus points at the end of stage number 1 here, that would be significant in helping them advance to round 2 of the playoffs at the end of the night. Josh Bonwell leads that lap.
Yeah, Josh has kind of worked his way up there, kind of snuck himself up there into the lead. He's got Danielson pushing on him there in the Dirty Air Studios Toyota. Ooh, and that, boy, I'll tell you what, Danielson is a little erratic right now. I'd be a little concerned having him behind me. He didn't quite match up there with the 56's bumper, and Josh did a good job of hanging on to it. Sometimes that push from behind, if not centered up just right, Sam, that could be more trouble than it's worth.
Now, this lead pack soon, as a matter of fact, probably in turns 1 and 2, is going to pass Derek Fisher in the 13 machine. Hopefully he'll stay out the way of him. Fisher, another driver, nursing his truck after getting damage from that starting grid incident.
And they make it by.
Yeah, nice driving there by Derek Fisher. Stay out the way of him. Now, obviously, the bad news there is for Mike Donoghue. Now, Fisher is in the lucky dog position. Josh Bonwell dropping to the back of the lead pack.
A lot of give and take, Sam. A lot of give and take here at Talladega. It's kind of the name of the game. Boy, the second group is really falling back. Dullard leads them. He's got Mark McFadden leading on him right now. Will Davis right behind them. It's a good pack, but Sam, they had one chance, and one chance only to catch that pack in front of them when they were all working together. It just didn't work out.
But still, stage points up for grabs with these drivers, with Michael Dullard holding down 7th right now ahead of Mark McFadden in 8th place. William Davis in 9th and Joe Johnson in 10th.
Yeah, they're trying. They're all in a line. They're trying, but Sam, generally what it comes down to is who's best at what, right? Some people are good at leading a pack. Some people are good at following in the pack. Some don't do it well at all. Either way, and what you've got is a mix of drivers with varying levels of talent. They're just not able to generate the speed needed to catch this pack in front of them, even though the pack up front continues to fight hard for those positions. fact, they're going 3 wide.
Yes, they are. Now, the pack up front is coming to the go in the stage. I should imagine all these drivers competing for points. Oh boy, things getting a little dicey there, entering 3. I should imagine all the drivers competing for points, they're not even going to consider pitting right now because they want as many stage points as they can get. But will we see drivers further back in the field elect to pit and use strategy on down the road? Boy, these guys look like they are getting ready to fight for the win of this stage, and it is time to do that.
Now, Sam, I thought this stage was 25 laps. We had 25, 25, and 46 tonight, right? Or 25, 25, and 44.
No, they changed it to 20, 27, 47.
Okay. I don't know anymore. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll find out who's right if a caution flies in 2 laps' time. Hopefully it doesn't fly before then because these drivers definitely getting on each other's bumpers. And they'll actually be coming to put Mike Donoghue a 2nd lap down. This is really bad for one of our playoff contenders in the 70 truck. He needs to get out of the way. He's right there in the middle of the track right now. There he goes. They're finally able to duck underneath him in the D oval. Lap 19 in the books. Daniel Draxon with a slight edge over Jeremy Crandall. Jackson on the low side, edging out the lead and down on the apron. Campbell, oh, Campbell gets into him, takes to the apron to avoid an accident.
Yeah, wow.
It's the high line to get a bit of momentum. So, Jeremy Crandall, without the blue banner on his 73 machine, looks like he'll come around to complete lap number 20, but they're 3 wide. Daniel Draxon going to take a last moment lunge at it. He's ahead of the line by 0.02 of a second. Judd Danielson right behind him, up there as well. And now the caution flies. So, Daniel Draxon wins stage number 1 ahead of Jeremy Crandall, Judd Danielson, Josh Bonwell, Jeff Martin, Gerald Campbell, Michael Dullard, Mark McFadden, William Davis, and Joe Johnson rounds out the top 10.
Sam, we did it. We got through stage 1 without a caution flag. This one.
Gonna take a quick look at the points here, see which of our playoff drivers get a little bit of help through the rest of the race. But next time around, Sean, they'll all be coming in to pit for fuel, maybe not necessarily tires.
I take your tires here. There's no reason to. There really should be no reason to double stint them. I think, honestly. I don't want to be the guy that makes that mistake, Sam, and then regrets it when I wind up out of the draft and halfway around the track from the rest of the field going into stage 3. Still, I was impressed with the stage. Like I said, we managed it without a caution. The only cars that really had any trouble as far as getting lapped were ones that had trouble on, the pre-start. We saw several cars move up through the field. Will Davis and Josh Bonwell and Gerald Campbell, of course. Even Kevin Fetty back there in 14th came up 11 spots to get there. So lots of drivers driving well here early as most of the field is making its way onto the pit lane now. Here we go.
All right, these drivers coming down at 55 miles an hour. They'll have to be aware to not overshoot their pit stalls if they want to retain their track position. Of course, not the worst track to lose it at, but given how dicey things were at the front of a pack here. I have a feeling you want to be up front ahead of all the chaos going on a bit further behind. Whoa, a couple of drivers spinning their tyres, exiting their pit stalls, and Judd Danielson, it looks like, gonna win that race off of pit road. No, Daniel Jackson pulls back around him. So Jackson, Danielson, Martin, Crandall and Dullard, the top 5 off of pit road. Well, we're going to take a quick break here on the GSRC because the caution laps at Talladega do take a couple of minutes. We will be back for the restart. Hello and welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. So, of those 10 drivers we read out getting stage points at the end of stage 1, 6 of them were playoff drivers. Daniel Jackson, who won the stage, things are looking good for him in the points anyways. Judd Danielson, who sits 5th in points, he got 8 playoff points. That's definitely decent. That's going to help him stay in. Mark McFadden, he's only just ahead of a bubble. He came in 6th in the points, got 3 stage points there. That will definitely help him. What about Jeff Martin? He came into the 9th in points on the outside looking in. 6 stage points. That is big for that number 15 machine. And Joe Johnson also got a stage point. However, as we mentioned at the top of the show, he pretty much has to win the race to get himself into round 2 of the playoffs. Pace car lights are off. We are about to start stage number 2, which we can confirm before there's any further confusion. Is 27 laps long. That means there will be a caution at the end of lap number 47 in 23 laps time from now. Daniel Jackson, as he has been most of the night, in control of the field, but did he change lanes before the stripe there? I wonder if he'll get a penalty for moving up ahead of Judd Danielson.
We've seen it happen before, Sam. It could certainly happen tonight.
whatever the case, things have gotten single file throughout most of the field pretty quickly here at the start of stage number 2. All 28 starters still on track, not all of them on the lead lap.
Here they go, fanning out.
Yeah, here we go.
Here's Crandall again, pushing hard. Whoa, and he has to make it a basic move. Danielson in front of him there. I thought they were going to stick to single file. They fanned out really, really quick. Dullard went to the high line right behind Crandall. Now they're trying to catch Danielson to get this line moving. Jeff Martin's thinking about stepping up there. He better stay where he's at. Bonwell hot on his bumper.
Yeah, Danielson was trying to get a bit of a side draft on Daniel Jackson entering turn 3, and it kind of backfired against him. Danielson really dropping back here. Low line, the place to be right now, with Jackson leading Martin down there. Bonwell is the driver leading the high side. Now the high side's coming in.
So his bumper's not matching up there, Sam. They're getting really squirrely down low. We've got 3 wide. Dullard's the meat.
And Daniel Jackson is being black flagged. Daniel Jackson is being penalized. He will have to come to the pits.
Well, that's going to be really costly. He's already dropping down onto the apron.
Oh, and it might have been perfect timing though, because Danielson gets turned. Danielson comes back up ahead of the track, and Daniel Jackson was in prime position to miss all of that, as several trucks that wadded up on the front straight.
Listen, Sam, pretty simple here. You're going to see Danielson maybe push a little bit too hard. When he does, he's got to back out of it. And that's going to cause, well, this reaction. His car gets a little bit loose, gets obviously a little help from the bottom there. Danielson hard into the wall. I think that was that Dullard behind him that got into him? Go on board with Stanford here. Oh boy, and luckily that wasn't the big one. It was, you know who that was that hit him? It was David Washington, and it hit him there at the end. And I think that might have caused some heavy damage on David Washington's truck, Sam.
Now the driver this will really benefit is Robert McFarland in the 00, one of our playoff drivers. Missed the start for whatever reason. He should be able to get a wave around and rejoin on the lead lap. In fact, he's already gone by the pace car. He's catching up with the leaders now. Jeff Martin coming into the pits. He's got damage on the 15 machine from that incident. Some drivers at the back of the pack also electing to come in. Play a bit of a strategy call here, Sean. Maybe,
Sam. Not a bad time to play it. Listen, the end of the second stage is going to be up before we know it. At the rate of knots they've been getting around here tonight.
That truck got smoking in the pit stall, by the way, is 98 of David Washington. We documented his trouble, so unfortunate there for Washington. One of the drivers out there running on the lead lap had a clean race up until that point.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Washington. I know he's not here competing for points tonight, but hey, listen, we talked about it earlier. Everybody here trying to win that set of headsets from SKSimRacing.com. Sam, our big sponsor tonight in the SKSimRacing.com 250 here at Talladega Motor Speedway. I keep saying Motor Speedway. This is a super speedway. Motor speedways are 1.5 miles, Sam, or a mile, but this is a super speedway.
2.66 miles in the length. How long would it take you to run around this track, Sean?
I can tell you that 2.66 miles, it would take me just under an hour to walk it. And I'm afraid the old knees don't let me run much anymore, but it might take me longer to run around here than walk around here, to be honest with you. I have walked the track before, though, Sam. That's one of those early Sunday morning things they'll let fans do here at Talladega Superspeedway. It's really cool. It's quite an experience. Yeah, walking up that banking is it's treacherous. It's very steep, but 33 degrees is a lot of grade. You know, one of the interesting factoids about this track is just before you get into turn 3 on the track surface, you can see some what look like red streaks across the track. What those actually are rust stains that have been on the track forever. There's a gate there. That's how you get onto Talladega Boulevard with your motorhome, is you come in off the backstretch entering turn 3 from outside the track, from outside the backstretch here, and you drive in, and Talladega Boulevard is just a few hundred yards inside the gate there once you get across the track.
And I've got to imagine with 33 degrees of banking, a lot of those stains are from the RVs bottoming out as they rejoin the track.
Exactly.
Let's update on the race here real quickly. We documented Jeff Martin and Judd Danielson, 2 of our playoff contenders, got a bit of damage from that wreck. Another one did as well. Mark McFadden in the 48. He picked up a good amount of damage from that incident. Now, the good news for McFadden is he came into the night 6th in the points. He picked up 3 playoff points in the opening stage for finishing 8th place, so that helps him a little bit. But he can't afford a bad result, Sean, if some of the drivers behind him get a good result. He needs to keep that 48 going.
Indeed. Yes, the 48's got to finish this race, and, well, preferably it's got to finish it with a win, Sam. Josh Bonwell, I'll tell you what, leading this field around, he's going to start up here on point, and Sam, I can't say I disagree with the strategy of these 12 drivers up front. I think you want to pick up the points if you're trying to get in this thing. Make it to the next race and be a contender still for the championship.
Well, let's take a bit of a closer look at the points here, Sean. We mentioned the driver in 9th in the points, Jeff Martin. Well, he was on the outside looking in. He just got a bit of damage from that incident. That's not going to help him, but he did get 6 playoff points in that opening stage, and that would move him ahead of Kevin Fetty and Ray Richter at this point. So Kevin Fetty and Ray Richter, who sit 7th and 8th in the points coming into tonight, they did not pick up any stage points at the end of stage 1. Those 2 are going to want to try and capitalize in stage 2 and at the end of this race.
You're absolutely right, Sam. We've got a few trucks on the pit lane now coming in. Kyle Barnes is one of them. Richard Regan Jr. is in there also. He had to back up in his stall. He missed it.
Pace car lights are off as some drivers come in to get some last-minute repairs. Mark McFadden in again to try and make that 48 truck as fast as it possibly can be.
Josh Bonwell started 19th, Sam. Driver is worked for most of this. Nobody gave him anything here. Very rarely to get anything given to you at Talladega. It's finishing one of these is like that 3-hour endurance race you want to enter. Sometimes finishing is more important than the actual position. But tonight it's actually very important for these championship drivers who need the best result they can to get themselves to the next round of the championship.
And remember, stage number 2 will be completed at lap 47. The lights off on the pace car, so we have 17 laps of racing to go until the end of the stage. And of course, everyone can make it on fuel and tyres. Judd Danielson has lost 2 laps in the pits getting repairs, still in the number 17 machine. He came into this race 5th in the points, so he earned 8 points in that opening stage. So I would almost venture to say Judd Danielson may be safe, even if he can't get that number 17 truck out on track, Sean. But I'm sure the crew is going to do everything they can to get it back out there. Nice thing, of course, about iRacing, we don't have that 5-minute repair rule yet.
Soon. Hashtag soon, Sam. Here we go. Time to crank it back up here at Talladega Super Speedway. There we go. I did it.
Ford Mustang pace car off. Josh Bonwell in control of the field. What about Andrew Fanyard starting on the high side of him? In fact, none of the drivers in the top 3 rows are playoff drivers. A lot of new names up front right now, including Dylan Jones, William Davis, and Michael Dullard as we go back to green flag racing.
2 by 2 across the stripe and into one. Here we go.
Field thinned out with no Danielson and no Washington on track right now. Other than that, 26 trucks working their way in 2 rows of 13 as they go through turns 1 and 2, and it's Andrew Fanyards with the edge on the high side as they go down the back straight.
On board Ray Richard now, getting his first taste of running up front here.
Already up to full speed, over 180 miles an hour as they complete, almost 190 miles an hour as they complete 2.66 miles, a little faster than Sean was able to complete in lap number 31 with Fanyards sticking the nose of his number 8 Silverado out in front for the first time here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. The high line definitely working together with Fanyards ahead of Jones and Davis right now. William Davis has definitely been one of the stronger performers in the Truck Series this season, even if he hasn't been racing for points over here.
Yeah, well, we've watched Fanyards enough this season. He's fast and anything he gets in. Again, the goal this evening, if you're not a playoff driver, not contending, is to take home those headsets. And, well, Fanyards, I'm sure, could stand to pick up a set of those.
Fanyards has not won a truck race in the SSCA this season so far. William Davis, who sits a couple of trucks behind him, has won a couple. And Fanyard's in control right now. You see the trucks weaving in and out a bit. Maybe not necessarily trying to make... Oh, yeah, that was Eric Stanford.
Yeah, the 19.
Going from the high side to the low side. Well, with the exception of Eric Stanford there, maybe not necessarily drivers looking to make a pass, but just looking for the cool air down the back straight.
Right, exactly. And he saw there was cool air down there, and I think that was the decision, albeit a little risky at the moment. But he is okay now. Boy, man, Crandall is still pushing on Bonwell hard. Backs off just before they get to the entry of the turn, but when they come off exit, he's going to be back on the bumper.
12 trucks making up this lead pack. The driver leading the second pack is William Hartman. Heard a lot from him this season. Haven't heard a lot from him tonight, but we don't need to. He has a good amount of points in the championship anyway. He should easily advance to round 2 of the playoffs.
Boy, you know, there's one truck you see him back there caught in no man lands. It's Gary Sheldon in a number 88, Sam. That he is really on the verge of losing this draft, which means that pack behind him, he'll keep falling back towards them, and he'll become part of that pack. They catch him in the middle. Maybe that pack can close in on the front, but Sam, only 15 laps to go in this second stage.
Yeah, a bit less than 15 now, actually. When they come across the line this time by, it will be the completion of lap 35. The drivers racing the lap 47 for the end of stage number 2, which will be the halfway point of this 94-lap race. Bondwell with the edge right now. The low line starting to come in again. He's getting help from Jeremy Crandall behind. Crandall definitely being one of the drivers not afraid to shake it up front here at Talladega tonight. Oh, and the two Wells almost lock bumpers there. And that's going to force them 3 wide.
A little bit of craziness going on there, Sam, but they avoid any real trouble. Boy, and
wow, that was close.
Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, almost 4 wide down the back straight there. 3 wide. With Farnyards up top. Crandall in the middle. Bondwell down low. And it looks like the low side's going to pay off. Only 2 trucks working that high line. That's not going to help them.
Well, now this pack, the second pack, they're going to come by McFarland now. They're going to catch him next. And actually, he's pulling off, getting out of the way altogether.
Yeah, things definitely not going away for Washington out there tonight.
McFarland, I'm sorry, it was Washington, Sam. You're right.
Things getting really spicy up front here as they come around to 10 to go in stage number 2. The playoff drivers in this lead pack need to be careful.
We've got a third line moving, Sam, up top. Led by Farnyards in the 8.
Yes, Dylan Jones right behind him as they go through turns 3 and 4 right now. They're losing a little bit of ground as they go down the back straight, though. Worth noting, Gary Sheldon was able to hold on to the draft of the lead pack. Here comes that high side, like you mentioned, Sean.
Yeah, they're up there. Tell you what, it's a risky proposition. Dullard a little bit high, a little bit loose, almost up into him. This was when it starts to get tense at Talladega Superspeedway. Dullard going to give Crandall a bit of a push.
And all of the playoff drivers in this pack, though, Sean, that they know they can't afford to back out because this lead pack is being made up of 12. If you can just stay in this lead pack, you run better than half a chance of picking up some playoff points.
Yeah, definitely. You know, this is where the money's at right now. That second pack doesn't seem to be advancing at all. A little death-defying at times, continuing to go 3 wide all the way around. It's been at it for what, about 3-4 laps now?
Yeah, but worth noting, I'm incorrectly using the term playoff points. They're just picking up points. Obviously, you pick up playoff points for the next round of the playoffs if you win the stage, like Daniel Jackson did earlier. Give you an update on Daniel Jackson. Actually, he is in this lead pack back there in 7th place. So nice rebound despite that penalty. Kind of got a break when that caution happened as he was coming into the pits to serve that penalty.
Man, Farnyards and Jones need somebody to go up there with them. Give them a hand. I think that's the only chance they got to get in this line and move, although they're getting a pretty good run here.
Yes, Joe Johnson went up high, but I think he didn't want to go up there. He was kind of forced up there at the back, and he's going to stick with it.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Bumwell gets moved out of, and the inside lane is completely broke up because the bumpers did not line up between Bumwell and Stanford.
Boy, it's getting really, really sketchy here. William Davis had a moment there in the 11. He almost got into the 36 there at Jason Eisenhower. And Sam, look at this top line. It's moving up front. To the front, Andrew Farnyards. His dance partner comes right with him behind.
And now look at Daniel Jackson. He's contact.
Eisenhower hangs on. Ray Richard
Jason
drops all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, Jason Eisenhower almost came right down into the pack. So they all keep it going. It breaks things up a little bit.
Let's replay this, Sam.
Very good heads-up driving by everyone involved to not turn this into a wreck.
Oh, it was so close. Eisenhower does a great job of keeping on the wall. Smart move by Ray Richer. More impressive is the fact that he was able to keep the truck stable. Now, it does drop Richer back, and they've lost this draft a little bit, but not taking any damage. That's more important.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's really just 9 drivers in the lead pack right now. Then there's 3 drivers running single file for 10th, 11th, and 12th. Ray Richer holds that ahead of Gary Sheldon and Jason Eisenhower right now. And with Ray Richer being so on the bubble, he'll want to be holding down at 10th place. But meanwhile, the top 9 spots still all up for grabs with 5.5 laps left to go in this stage. Vineyards and Dullard running side by side, Jones in 3rd. Our first playoff driver is Daniel Jackson back in 4th place, and that's the lap truck of Mark McFadden going a lap down there up high. Remember, McFadden has damage from that wreck on lap number 26.
Yeah, it's a shame to see the Lord Coast Chevy so far down. Oh, look at that. The 84 going really, really wide. Daniel Jackson almost up into the wall. He was able to pull it back down right in front of Josh Bonwell.
Mark Dullard led the last time by, but boy, he's really faded back up there on the high side in turns 1 and 2.
You got bull rush, Sam. Oh, Crandall with a big moment down low. Got down below the apron with Bonwell pushing on him. The rear end of the truck came around. He was able to save it. This is the type of thing you're going to get here at Talladega. Oh, we got a line forming up top just behind our leaders.
Yeah, and this includes one of our playoff drivers, Joe Johnson. In fact, only 2 playoff drivers left in this lead pack of 9 trucks, and those are Daniel Jackson, who's one of the safest drivers in the playoffs, and Joe Johnson, who needs to win the lock himself in. Everyone else is pretty much out of range of getting any points here, with the exception of Ray Richer currently running in 10th place. Everyone else is from outside of the SSCA Truck Series or not in the playoffs and simply running here to try and get the win and the prize at the end of the day. 3 laps left to go in stage number 2 as they come to the line. The number 8 truck of Andrew Vineyards leading the number 23 truck of Dylan Jones.
You know, in that big pack that we talked about behind it, is being led by Gerald Campbell. Unfortunately, that starts at 13th. They're outside the top 10 and very little chance of catching them at this point, Sam.
I love the message on the back of Drew Thompson's truck there.
Oh, push here.
Well, he's going to do as he says.
He's getting plenty of help from Will Davis here, but they got to stay locked up.
Oh, Drew Johnson. And if he spins him in the turn, he could say, well, I blame your truck. It was telling me to push it. Alright, 2 laps left to go in the stage. Time to get serious. If they haven't already been serious for the first 45 laps. Vineyards leading down low. Stanford leading up high. Inside lane seems to be winning out for now. Our 2 playoff drivers in this pack towards the back of the pack. Not a safe place to be if things get crazy in front of them. Driving into turns 3 and 4.
Sorry, Sam. I just checking in on Ray Richer because he's holding that 10th spot right now, but Sheldon got quite a run at him there and almost turned Ray around.
Yeah, Ray Richer definitely going to want to hold on to that 10th spot.
Yeah.
Here we go. Last lap of stage 2. Vineyards has been in control of the field ever since he took the lead when the low line broke apart about 10 laps ago and he led the high side, came down low, and he's just been riding that yellow line, keeping his 8 machine out in front. Can he keep it there for another half a lap as they work their way down the back straight into turns 3 and 4? They're 3 wide behind him, now just 2 wide as they go through the corner. Dylan Jones not sticking his nose out yet. That's Stanford leading up high still. Things looking good for Fanyas as they enter the D-Oval. And Andrew Fanyas is going to come around and win stage number 2. Halfway in this race, and the caution flies.
Stanford just edges out second over Jones. He was actually able to get Stanford was able to get a nice run going there on the outside, and when they came off of 4, he got down close right next to the door there of Andrew Farnyar's, and was able to actually get a good side draft, and it just wasn't enough there as they got to the line.
It's only 3 playoff drivers picking up stage points this time by. Daniel Jackson got 6th, Joe Johnson got 8th, and Ray Richer did hold on for 10th. Yep, so nice couple of stages for Daniel Jackson, especially considering he had that penalty in the middle of stage number 2. I think a most critical point there, Sean, has got to be for Ray Ritchie. He came into tonight 8th in the points. Jeff Martin, who's 9th in the points, picked up some points for where he finished in stage 1. And the fact that Ray Ritchie was able to pick up a point here could help him in that fight against Jeff Martin to make the second round of the playoffs.
I think you're right. I think that position was very important. I wonder if the drivers behind him knew exactly how important that position was to him, Sam. They didn't seem to fight him too hard for it. There was that moment when Sheldon was pushing on him and got Ray a little bit loose. He kind of had one of those, maybe Code Brown moments there, but that's a big 10th place finish to the second stage.
All right, here comes the field into the pits, being led by Fanyas, Stanford, Jones, Crandall, Bonwell, Jackson, Duller, Johnson, Davis, and Richer in your top 10. Make sure all of them hit their pit stall nice and cleanly. Fanyas does.
Yeah, I'm watching everybody's pit stops right now, Sam. Just about everybody in. It looks like most of... Oh, Robert McFarland had to stop when Andrew Farnyars was coming out of his stall.
And Farnyars wins the race off of pit road ahead of Stanford, Jones, Dullard. Looks like most drivers throughout the field, Sean, electing to take 4 tyres because they know there is a possibility things could go green to the end, as clean as the racing has been so far. However, I definitely have a feeling the intensity will pick up in our third and final stage. We'll all get to find out together here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We've got a couple more laps to work under yellow here. We will be back for the restart. Hello and welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway, where we're getting set for our third and final stage of the night. And Sean, it must be noted, these drivers have put on a fairly clean opening 2 stages to this race. However, from our experience with the SSCA guys, things... you get a different race in that last stage.
Yeah, that can be the case sometimes, Sam. And well, it's Talladega, and they've been really well behaved to this point. I'm gonna say that for everybody watching, this has been about as good as a Talladega race as you can get. Sans the one incident we had, man, this is gonna be a good finish tonight. I don't know that we're gonna see that caution flag too many times.
Drivers not looking good to advance into the playoffs. Robert McFarland, who is currently... Well, I take that back. He is back on the lead lap now, but he hasn't got any points so far in the stages. He is going to need to have a solid finish here tonight to gain some points over competitors such as Ray Richter and Jeff Martin, who have been able to pick up stage points ahead of him and advance into the playoffs. A lot of non-playoff drivers leading the field back to green here, being led by Andrew Farnyards down low and Stanford up high. Pretty much how they ran the last 10 laps of stage number 2 is how they're going to start stage number 3.
And everybody getting those motors wound up. Daniel Jackson already dropping to the bottom in front of Richer, kind of leaving him hanging up there high and dry by himself. That top line just not moving at all here on the restart.
No, and you see how many trucks have noticed that and have dived down low to try and get where the momentum is as they go down the back straight. Farnyards ahead of Drones. Regan, they're third and blinking up high there was Eric Stanford. You don't want that.
Oh, and down low, man. Regan's got to be careful. He was down below the apron. That truck got really loose. And if I'm behind Stanford right now, I am nervous. I want his help to try and get to the front, but man, if he blinks, you never know where he's going to come back on the track. And at 185 miles an hour, that is not a good situation.
And all these drivers are going to have to pit for fuel if we did go green to the end, Sean. And strategy could definitely come into play in the last 40 or so laps around Talladega. Dylan Jones, oh boy, very impatient.
Come on, guys. We got a ways to go here. Easy, easy, easy.
First crowd of playoff drivers sitting behind these leaders are from about 8th on back. Daniel Jackson, Ray Richter, Joe Johnson, Sean Callister and Robert McFarland. I haven't mentioned Sean Callister a whole lot tonight, but he's hanging up there. He's one of those drivers who definitely needs a good finish to get into the playoffs.
Sam, you know who's kind of worked his way up into this battle and we've kind of ignored? It's been Kyle Barnes. Is silently now hasn't done much in the first 2 stages, but now finds himself in the mix up here with the leaders.
I almost wonder if he played a bit of a strat.
Oh, we got a caution. Yeah.
Back.
Trouble with McFarland. McFarland makes contact with Joe Johnson, and that might be the end of Joe Johnson's hopes to get into these playoffs. But Johnson, we're going to see here on the replay, that's the 18 up top. He's going to come back down the track right in front of Robert McFarland. And that's not how you get it done. Ouch. Kevin Fetty makes it. Kevin Fetty was down there on the bottom at West Virginia livery we've come to appreciate. It's football season. It's okay. We're with him now.
Fetty came into tonight, Sean, 7th in the points. He hadn't picked up any stage points here, but he might pick up a good amount of points at the end of a race thanks to avoiding this wreck.
Boy, how about that evasive move by Kevin Fetty? With just a flick of the wheel, he is out of trouble.
Okay, and we're back to live action here. So McFarland and Johnson are both in the pits with a bit of damage, Sean. Johnson's doesn't look too bad. McFarland is crabbing.
Yeah, and McFarland, obviously, he's had trouble since the start of this race. That's probably going to be the end of his night. Now, Joe Johnson's damage wasn't really bad. He's not going to lose a lap, but I got to be honest, he's got to hope the aero's still good on that truck. If it is, then maybe he's got a chance to come back through the field. Still plenty of time to get it done.
Well, Johnson has to win. That's the problem with him being involved in the wreck.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, some of our leaders coming into the pits, Kyle Barnes, Gerald Campbell, Adam Eisenhower, to get a bit of extra fuel.
McFarland's gotten out of the truck. That might be day done for him.
Outside of our playoff drivers, Derek Fisher and William Davis have also retired from the race following that wreck. Look at all the drivers staying on track, Sean. They're all on the apron trying to save as much fuel as they can.
That's that old super speedway trick there, Sam. A rider down in the apron, you use less fuel when you're sitting on an angle going all the way around.
So while McFarland not doing too well, Joe Johnson has gotten back out on the track. He's still on the lead lap, but still getting repairs done to that 18 machine. He needs that truck to be able to go as fast as possible. Remember, he's going to restart back around 20th. He's got to find a way to beat 19 other trucks that don't have damage on them.
Yeah, good luck with that, right?
Yeah.
Get it.
Let's pull up our points graphic here again, Sean. Let's do a quick look. Give our viewers a visual understanding of what's going on here. So here are the four drivers on the outside looking in. Well, Jeff Martin, I know he was involved in a bit of a wreck earlier, but he might not be sitting too bad. He picked up 6 playoff points earlier. Sean Callis, a quiet night. He is currently running there in 10th position. So Robert McFarland and Joe Johnson are two that are looking bad on the outside right now. I don't see anyone else who's a guaranteed out. Still a lot to play for.
Yeah. But as they say in Vegas, the table is wide open, buddy. Just been accused of hanging around with Soup a little too much there, Sam. Soup's favorite time of year. It's football season.
We haven't made any draft puns yet tonight, Sean, considering it's last night to get your fantasy playoff drafts in.
It is. Last chance. Last chance. I know where I'll be heading right after the race. All right, our director wants Joe Namath. He cannot play. You are out. It's not what fantasy football means. Anyway, the lights are out on the pace car. Everybody getting lined up and ready to go here, Sam. This could be it. Yeah, you know what? You still can't make it all the way on fuel. The fuel window, if I remember correctly, it was about 28 to 30, and we're just outside of that, unfortunately. So these drivers all going to need to come down pit road at least one more time before this race is over.
You know what my favourite thing to do during football season is, Sean? Considering I live in North Carolina.
What's that, Sam? Watch basketball?
No, I like going to the Big Cat Sanctuary that I volunteer up down the road.
Right. That's right.
They have some black leopards there, otherwise known as panthers. And I introduce them to new visitors to the zoo and say, here are the Carolina Panthers.
And they are truly Carolina Panthers. That's really cool, actually.
Alright, we got a race to talk about. Fine yards on the low side, Dylan Jones on the high side. So Stanford, who has been racing fine yards for the last few laps, is now in position that he's got to give Farnias a little bit of help here. How about Richard Regan Jr.? Haven't mentioned him a whole lot tonight. He'll be up restarting in 4th place. Our first playoff drivers are back in 6th and 7th. Daniel Jackson and Ray Richer, 2 drivers who have been hanging out in the top 10. What about William Hartman? He's finally broke through into the top 10.
Yep, William Hartman certainly with a chance. Jimmy in the chat bringing up a great quote from Tony Stewart. If half the cars aren't wrecked by the end of this race, we ain't doing it right. So here we go, Sam.
All right, and there are just 37 laps left to go in this race as they come across the start-finish line. With Farnias, the number 8, he's been in control of the field for most of the middle portion of this race. Can he continue to hold that top spot? He's definitely proven to be hard to pass, but a nice restart by the high side this time by. In fact, they're grouped together even better than the guys down low.
Yes, they are, and that's the first time we've seen all night that outside line get a great restart. Starting to move already. Challenging Farnias for that lead.
Yeah, high side really working together. Dylan Jones taking the lead with help from Richard Regan Jr. behind. He's going to abandon Regan, though. And Regan all the way up top with absolutely no one to help him out until you get all the way back to Michael Dullard. But Dullard is also dropping back. The outside lane really not the place to be right now.
No, sir. It's not moving. Not at all. They just continue to drop back. Sam. Joe Johnson, we talked about him. He finds himself in the middle of the field. He's moving here. Joe's got no front end damage. The truck actually looks pretty clean. Slots in behind the 24. Now that's David Gervais, and he does have a bit of damage on that truck. Joe Johnson's got to clear him as quick as he can.
Oh, things getting dicey at the back of a pack there as well. We've already broken into 2 packs, and they're going 3 wide back there around 15th place. Well, that's not going to help them keep up with the 3 pack.
Johnson into the wall. Him and Eisenhower get together. Joe Johnson's run is certainly over now. Oh, no. Sam, that was a hard hit.
Yeah, Joe Johnson will not be advancing to round 2 of the playoffs. He had to work his way back up there, Sean. Maybe that's why he was trying to force the issue. Gets 3 wide here. Who can blame him? We're starting to run out of laps. He knows he's got the win. Honestly, though, yeah, that wasn't his fault, though.
Yeah, he definitely had contact there with Eisenhower. Got a little help. Ouch. Let's go on board Adam Eisenhower and see what possibly happened. Yeah, truck just comes down the hill a little bit. Looks like right into his line, and oh boy, you saw how hard that was just from the cockpit view there of Eisenhower. That's not how Joe Johnson wanted to end this night. With hopes and dreams of a big win that advances him to round 2. Not tonight. Yes, the 86 obviously did not push in the right spot. Push here was not taken literally there.
So, any of the leaders going to come into the pits? So they're going to say we can make it to the end on fuel now? That's indeed what is happening. Here we go. A lot of leaders, with the exception of Daniel Jackson. Almost the whole field, with the exception of Daniel Jackson, coming into the pits because they think they can make it to the end on fuel. Just a splash of...
He's topping it off, playing it safe. Jackson thinks he can make it. You know, I said that, Sam, I said that window was somewhere, what did I say, 28 to 30, I think it was. I mean, you count the caution lap in here. it's going to be very, very close. This may turn into a fuel strategy race if we get a green here to the checkers.
You know, of course, Sean, with the way this third stage has been going so far, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple more cautions. Confirmation that Joe Johnson is out of the race. Now, let's talk about these 3 trucks that stayed out on track. Only one of them's on the lead lap, Daniel Jackson. Mike Donohue, if he doesn't have to pit, he'll be able to get a wave around from being 2 laps down to only 1 lap down. I think that might be right. He might actually be going from 3 to 2 laps down. And also Judd Danielson, heavy damage on the number 17 machine, and I think he'll be safe to advance to the second round of the playoffs, but just in case, he has came back out on track trying to get some extra points.
And you know what? In the pits, there was trouble, actually. Richard Regan had some trouble. He's got damage on the front end of the truck now. He got into the back of Jeff Martin. So now Regan dealing with some front end damage on the truck, and boy, that's not the place you want to have it. Not to be fast here at Dega. Yeah, being off by just a mile an hour can be all the difference.
I'll tell you what, Sean, Daniel Jackson, currently leading this race, this has been the story of the playoffs for him. He's had one of the fastest trucks, but he has been like the Brad Keselowski, I guess you could say, of this series. He does what everyone else doesn't do on strategy. That really backfired against him at Mosport, where he was one of the drivers who could have otherwise been fighting for the win there. Didn't do him a whole lot of favours at Vegas. Hopefully he'll have a bit of a better story to tell at the end of tonight at Talladega.
Well, Jackson supporting the NASCAR Diecast Lounge, his sponsor there. You can find them on Facebook, but that Toyota's been awful good this evening. And Jackson, of course, riding with the blue on that truck, would love to get a win here. It's been a pretty steady night for him, regardless of all the trouble that we've had on track. Jackson's probably been one of the more steady trucks we've had out here tonight.
Ray Richter and Mark McFadden, a couple of the playoff drivers electing to come in for a splash of fuel on the last lap of caution. I think that's a very smart decision, to be honest. I'm a little surprised we didn't see other trucks elect to do that. Also worth noting, you saw Mike Donohue come into the pits and Judd Danielson drop him back. And that's, of course, because Daniel Jackson stayed out. They couldn't get that wave around.
Daniel putting the screws to the rest of the field.
32 laps left to go when they come to the completion of this lap, when they get back going again. So Daniel Jackson dominated the first third of this race. Andrew Farnyards has been dominating the middle part of it, and now they find themselves side by side, albeit on different strategies. Granted, though, for what it's worth, and I don't think it's worth a whole lot, but for what it is worth, they're on the same tyres because Farnyards just simply got a splash of fuel under that last caution. Alright, here we go. Jackson down low, Farnyards up high. And this time Jackson gets a nice launch on the low side, but Sean, he's lost all of his helpers back there.
Yeah, which means they're going to gang up on him here, Sam, and fly right around and drop him as quickly as they can.
Well, if they're mean, they'll do that. Do you think Farnyards is...
They're mean.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right.
That was probably planned by design. As maybe a bit of a mistake, a miscalculation by Jackson there.
Well, not as bad of a mistake as earlier when we saw him change lanes before the restart and he got a penalty for that. Obviously, he's been able to rally his way back since then, but this will drop him back to 5th place behind Farnyards, Jones, Stanford. Well, actually, he retakes 4th from Richard Regan Jr. now. Gerald Campbell back in 6th, ahead of William Hartman, Sean Callis, Michael Dullard, and Carl Barnes round out the top 10.
And one lone truck there on the outside trying to make it work still. It's Daniel Jackson. And he continues to drop. Here comes the 6.
Yeah,
Campbell moving.
What's Sean Callis going to do when he catches him here? Sean is going to try and work with him. Kyle Barnes isn't. They're going to go 3 wide. Regan and Campbell now come up high, so got plenty of big names up in that high line. They're just not close enough together to work with each other.
Yeah, plenty of names indeed. Really, the first time we've had Richard Regan in the mix this evening to talk about. Dylan Jones down there squirreling around. Got to be careful here. Whoa, what a run by Regan. Just getting a nose in front of Andrew Farnyards.
We've seen Regan enjoy success in other SSCA divisions this season. He hasn't got the win in the trucks yet. Trying to change that here tonight. He's up alongside the leader. Now that temporarily the high side drops back, but now they're finally joined together a bit better. And with 22 laps to go, it looks like once again we have 2 lanes working their way around Jupiter.
Around Jupiter. That's right. It's an awful big planet, isn't it, Sam?
With an awful big storm. Boy, that was Regan trying to get the best side draft he could through turns 1 and 2 there. It worked, because look at the run he's getting down the back straight now on the high side. Now, what will he do if he's able to get in front of Farnyards? Will he abandon his friends up high who have helped him get here? Or will he continue to work a high side? Well, we won't find out yet because he's still alongside that 8 truck.
Remember, Sam, you get by with a little help from your friends.
What are friends here at Talladega?
Yeah, boy. Temporary, as our director just got it and said.
Well,
look at that. The 51 stepping up high there, trying to make something work. And, well, Kyle decides to bring it back down behind Daniel Jackson.
Coming to 27 laps left to go at the completion of this one. With Farnyards down low, Regan up high. This lead pack is 11 trucks strong, and then things have really broken up behind them.
Boy, Jackson looked really loose back there for a moment. Uh-oh, Jackson steps to the outside lane. I think it was more of an evasive move. Kyle Barnes is going to take the spot away. No friends there.
And Jackson's clear now, though. He can get back down in that high side, so he drops a couple of positions, but able to stay in the lead pack, and I'm sure that's not the last we've seen of him up front today.
That top line is starting to move.
Still the low side holding strong, though. It's stuck between a rock and a hard place up front here. It's like an immovable object versus an unstoppable force. You got Andrew Farnyards, who will not move off of that bottom side, but Richard Regan Jr. being the unstoppable force, he's really holding strong on that high line. I doubt we could spend the next 25 laps racing like this, but boy, if we did, it would be a close finish between these two. Of course, if it did go green to the end, I doubt any of them can make it on fuel. Pit road getting a little busy with drivers who have had damage earlier. Adam Eisenhower's down there, as are a couple playoff drivers, Robert McFarland and Judd Danielson, losing laps.
This is the type of racing you expect from Talladega. Nail-biting, tense, yet somewhat fun action here as they get through turn 2 and head back to the super stretch here, Sam.
And all this going on at 190 miles an hour. The driver going out there is William Hartman. I wonder, Sean, if we're getting to that point where some of them are dropping back because the temperatures are getting too high. Oh, and disappearing there for a moment was Dylan Jones. I think he just blinked a little bit. That's not what you want to have happen.
I've seen that happen a few times this evening for him. I hope he can make it here to the end.
And one driver who has been playing a critical role up front throughout most of the race, he's certainly put on some impressive moves. He's got back, obviously, Pack running all on his own right now. That's the 73 of Jeremy Crandall. So he'll be hoping for caution and bring him back up there, because we know he can definitely fight for the win.
Yeah, and he was charging hard early and now finds himself in just a horrible spot. No man's land indeed. Totally out of this thing. He is definitely going to need help. I heard the 36 was in the wall. Jason Eisenhower battling a bad handling truck right now. Had a moment in the wall.
We stay green though. Just a little graze. Definitely not the place where you want to add any damage to your truck, lose any momentum around here. Talk about momentum. Richard Regan Jr. has it right now. The high side able to pull in front of our leaders down low. But once again, Farnyards comes back and Dylan Jones blinks. And he can only do that so much before the drivers around him start complaining.
Now, the question is Regan going to stay loyal to Campbell? Is he going to wait for both of them to get by? If they can get a monster run on Farnyards and Jones, is Regan going to let Campbell come along with him, or is he going to drop him like a hot potato? We'll see here. They got a little bit of help now. They got a third truck back there pushing. That's the 19, Eric Stanford.
Things getting dicey up here in the lead pack. A second pack is kind of running single file. They've actually just ran down Jeremy Crandall, so hopefully he'll be able to tack onto those guys and stop losing time. We're keeping our eye on the leaders though, because as they quickly approach 20 laps left to go, it's getting dicey again. Dylan Jones below the apron, back up onto the track, doesn't advance his position, so he'll go away with that.
Oh, interesting. Jones still having trouble with that connection. Farnyards goes to the top. That was a bit unexpected. Now it's 3 wide, Sam, as they come to the stripe.
That's Gerald Campbell trying to be ambitious. I don't think it's going to work for him, though. He's got absolutely no help up there. And now he's got to hope he's got enough momentum to filter back into the high side, and he's able to do that.
Oh. Man, if Farnyards had a small opportunity to drop down and get in front of Regan, not anymore. Regan is up alongside and in the lead.
So this is the first time in a long time we've seen Farnyards up on the high side. Oh dear, things getting close there. That was Dylan Jones trying to make it 3 wide down the middle. Unfortunately, the spotters were doing their jobs, the drivers were doing their jobs, and the hole opened up rather than closed. If it had closed,
we would be wide battle now. Back here, Sam. You got Duller on the bottom. Dylan Jones there in the middle now. All of a sudden, he's dropped all the way back here. And then up top there comes the 67 of William Hartman. He's stuck up there all by himself now. Oh, boy, that's really close side drafting between him and Dylan Jones.
Worth noting, if we did see our sixth caution of a race right now, it would be Mike Donohue benefiting from the lucky dog. He's currently running 20th, 2 laps down. He would be only 1 lap down. 14 trucks making up this lead pack. 19 trucks still on the lead lap. I take that back. 13 trucks making up this lead
13? All right, here we go. Farnyard starting to run up top. Obviously getting help from Stanford there behind him. Stanford not leaning on him. Sometimes you don't have to do that, though. Just a little bit of space in between the trucks still creates that bubble of push. And Farnyard's with the upper hand here through the turn.
Interesting to note, William Hartman in 8th place is the first of our playoff drivers. We have a few playoff drivers in this lead pack, but they're all running towards the back right now. Boy, Farnyard's got a big bump from Regan there, it looked like, going into turn 3. Was able to hold on to it. So Farnyard has finally found his way back to the low side. We've seen in the past, he has been very difficult to pass when he's been married to that yellow line.
Well, you see Kyle Barnes back there in the 51. He has clawed his way up here to this pack. Well, Farnyard's maybe getting a little bit of help that he doesn't need there from Regan. Campbell back here dancing around behind Eric Stanford, trying to get this second line moving. They're starting to get help. Back there, Daniel Jackson's starting to come through, Sam. He is starting to make his way back into this pack.
And how much longer do these drivers who can't make it to the end, Sean, leave it until they elect to come into the pits? I'm surprised we haven't seen any short pitting from the drivers up front here, if that would be the case, because you don't lose a lap here if you short pit at Talladega. They're about to put Jason Eisenhower a lap down, so now there'll only be 18 trucks on the lead lap.
Sam, did you think we'd have 18 left on the lead lap at this point? I didn't.
Unfortunately, Sean, I think it just means the big one hasn't happened yet. Of course, it might not happen at all.
Don't say that. We don't want the big one. Not tonight. 16 laps to go at the line. Looks like Farnyard's going to lead this one, too. Boy, Campbell looking a little squirry behind there. Stanford, got to keep that Chevy tight. You don't want your truck too free here. Richard Regan down there below the yellow line. The truck gets a little out of shape.
Remember, these are all fixed setups these drivers are working with. No one has the advantage in that department.
Campbell's really having trouble hanging on. That's the 6. Up top there behind Stanford.
$15 laps to go as they come to the line. A reminder, for those of you just joining, you will see this race end under green. The SSCA has their own way of finishing off these races if we did get a caution within the last 4 or 5 laps. A couple more moments before we hit that point, but if things stay green, Sean, we're going to be hitting those closing stages in a hurry. And for some of our playoff drivers who might need some extra points, they're going to have to think about making a move eventually. One name that comes to mind is the driver all the way at the back of this lead pack in 13th, Sean Callist.
Yeah, and you know, Callist is going to need some help. He's got a lot of trucks to get through it around. He's got nobody behind him to give him any push, so he's going to have to get somebody. He's going to have to find a partner here. Is Josh Bonwell that guy? That's the next truck in front of him. Can he get something going with Bonwell? Or is it Kevin Fetty maybe? I don't know, but he's definitely going to need some help. Daniel Jackson just up in front of them, still sitting in 10th. And he's not moving, Sam. Truck not moving through the field like it needs to be right now. This is critical. We're coming up on 13 laps to go. It's time to boogie, baby.
Yeah, now, Daniel Jackson, of course, is one driver who's pretty much locked into the second round of the playoffs on points. Sean Callis far from it. He entered tonight 10th in the points and has not been able to pick up any stage points so far. But he is there with his lead pack. He is in position if the opportunity does come. But right now, it is Stanford and Fanyas leading the field around. Stanford, actually, a nice push up high from Gerald Campbell. He almost thought about bringing it down in front of Fanyas. But once again, Fanyas able to fill that hole. Mike Donahue, that is, going a third lap down now.
That's a great job by Donahue, hanging onto the truck up there and what's quite honestly trash up in that part of the track. It's a good job of keeping it stable and staying out of the leaders here.
Yeah, Donahue never... oh, there it goes! Hard into the wall! Stanford! Is it a single truck incident? That is the hardest single truck incident you'll ever see here at Talladega.
I think he hit somebody. I don't know who, but I don't know if it was entirely clean. What happened here? Oh, and that's just bumpers not matching up. Gerald Campbell's going to make the contact there on the rear end of Stanford, and that's going to turn that truck around. It's going to hook him right there when he slid back across. And I think a little bit of net code might have helped a couple of drivers trying to get under that. I think we're going to take another look at it here on board. Try with William Hartman. We'll get on board with him. That's 67 right there. You see him on screen. Oh yeah, you'll see it here.
Hartman, definitely one of our favourite drivers for the championship. But it looks like he might have got a little bit of side damage from that. Alright, so if you want fuel, if you need fuel, you can get fuel. A lot of drivers riding on the apron, are they trying to save fuel and keep their track position?
Yeah, I think so, Sam. It's proven so hard to pass. I think that's exactly what we're seeing here.
Or maybe... Fanyas fakes it. Jackson comes in. He had no choice. Remember, he didn't pit under the previous yellow. Oh boy, this is really going to backfire on Daniel Jackson. Of course, as far as the playoffs are concerned, no concern at all. He's pretty much locked into round 2 of the playoffs as we've documented throughout this race. But as far as the win is concerned, he's been one of the playoff drivers who could definitely fight for the win here tonight. He's came through the field a couple of times. I don't know if he's got enough time to get it done now.
Sam, it's still anybody's race, isn't it? It's Talladega, baby.
The driver's still saving fuel down there on the apron. So they'll be coming to 10 laps to go at the completion of this lap. Pace car lights may stay on for another lap. So Fanyas leads this race. Regan second, Gerald Campbell third. William Hartman, let's talk about Hartman. We've gave him a couple of shout-outs because entering the playoffs, Sean, he had definitely been one of the more successful drivers throughout the season. Dominant, honestly, during many races before we started covering this series on the Global SimRacing Channel. Yet, once the playoffs started, he did not have a great opening couple of rounds. We didn't see him at Mosport. And then at Vegas, he had a good race going, but it kind of fell apart in the final stage of that race. And so the fact that he was able to get so many playoff points in the regular season has helped him be in this position where he didn't have to depend on the good result tonight at Talladega. That being said, I'm sure he would like to rebound and get some momentum here tonight at Talladega to carry some even more playoff points perhaps when we go to Martinsville in 2 weeks' time.
Martinsville. You go from the longest to arguably one of the shortest tracks on a NASCAR circuit. It could be a bit confusing almost, and two totally different styles of racing. But Hartman here, you know what? This has been a good effort by him. He did pick up a little bit of damage on the front end earlier, was able to get it repaired, and the truck is strong and sitting in a good spot right now. But Sam, I think they're all gambling on a little bit of fuel. I think this caution's actually going to help them with that. I think everybody should be able to make it to the end. Even though they're down there saving a little bit, I think it's more of a precautionary measure right now.
As the lights go off on the pace car, let's take a look at another one of our playoff drivers here in the top 10, and that is Kevin Fetty. He is actually the second highest running playoff driver right now, in 9th place in that number 94 machine. We haven't mentioned him a whole lot tonight. I know we mentioned him during one point where he was able to avoid a big wreck, and that is key, Sean, because he is one of the drivers who is definitely not safely locked into the second round of a playoffs. He came into tonight 7th in the points, only a few points to the good, and he hasn't picked up any stage points tonight. Is someone out of fuel? There's a truck on the high side out of fuel. Who is that? That's William Harmon. No, he's going again. What on earth happened there?
Sam, I'm not quite sure. Maybe he flipped the ignition off accidentally? Because, you know, I mean, that's one of those tricks. You'd be flipping your ignition on and off and, you know, turn that motor off. Maybe he accidentally hit the switch, didn't mean to.
Well, it's going again now, but I believe a couple of trucks got into each other as they were avoiding him there. Hopefully no one picked up too much damage. That's a second incident we've seen under yellow flag conditions here tonight, Sean.
Our good friend Kathy Stone out there giving it a big I'm with her. Kathy is one of our I would say more dedicated followers. Seems to always be here for this SCCA races we see every week.
We appreciate all of our followers, and especially love to see all the engagement there on our YouTube channel. Sean and I are always keeping an eye on that. See what you guys have to say during the race. And yes, to one of you who asked earlier, I am British. All right, here we go. Back racing again at Talladega Super Speedway with 9 laps left to go. Barnyards in control of the restart. We've seen the high side get good restarts early on today. Another one today. Regan able to hand right with that number 8 truck as they head into turn number 1.
Yeah, Regan actually gets a really good restart there up top. Not getting the help from behind early. That's okay, though. Hartman's got to be careful here.
All of them have got to be careful here.
True.
Especially the ones with those blue banners. As tight as the points are in today, and following the race after our break, we will definitely give you an update on the drivers who will advance into the second round of the playoffs. We know Joe Johnson won't be one of them. Who will be the other 3 coming out? We're not going to know, because the positions change time after time all the way around here. Although right now, Farnyard's pretty solidly in the lead of the race as we come around. 8 laps left to go at Talladega.
And everybody getting a little squirrely. I'd say everybody's on high alert right now, Sam.
And pretty much almost all the trucks on track in this pack. At the very back of them is Judd Danielson trying to make up positions. He's multiple laps down. One of our playoff drivers as we go 3 wide here. That is, who is that? That's Dylan Jones coming up the middle. He was up front early on. He wants to get up there again.
Hartman just all out of shape.
Contact.
Fetty's around. Callist is around. And the caution flag is still not out.
No, but now it will be. And because Sheldon slid back down the track a 3rd time, he almost saved it twice. Crandall and Jackson are spinning. So a couple of drivers who were at the back anyway, miraculous and huge.
Yeah.
That Callist and Fetty were able to hold on to that because those are two drivers looking to make the playoffs.
It's Sheldon that gets out of shape because, well, a little bit of contact from Josh Bonwell from behind. Sheldon gets down into Fetty and then gets back down the track into Callist. A lot of trucks involved in that, behind that wreck. And Sam, I think that officially qualifies as our big one tonight. That's a shame. Some trucks with a chance caught up in that.
What about Judd Danielson? He was the very last truck in this pack. He's just been trying to pick up positions from other trucks who have hit misfortune earlier today. What kind of view does he get here?
Just a windshield full, Sam. Some smoke, some indecision, truck still sliding. Look, right there, right in front of him. He's got to turn right and avoid that. And that was basically, that was Judd Danielson getting through the maze.
And I've got to re-emphasize this, though, Sean. The fact that Sean Callist and Kevin Fetty are riding out there in 11th and 12th positions with very minimal damage on their trucks, is that the wreck they needed to avoid to make it into the playoffs?
I think only these last few laps are going to tell, but both trucks have got some damage on them. That's certainly going to hurt their speed. And I don't know, maybe they can hold serve over the last few laps.
Alright, so let's see. What is our condition on the pace car? Lights are still on. Wouldn't be surprised if they go off next time by. If they did go off next time by, that would mean we would restart this race with 4 laps left to go. Enough time for another caution. Remember, this race will end under green. And it could end under green with a 1-lap shootout, although I doubt that will be the case if we restart with 4 to go. Yeah, if a caution came out at that point, it would be a green-white checkered. But also, I guess at that point, Sean, we need to emphasize for our new viewers here how green-white checkers work in this series.
Let's do that.
Yeah. If a caution comes out in the closing 3 or 4 laps, iRacing will finish the race under the pace car. And we'll have to turn all our graphics off because iRacing will be feeding us the information as if the race was over at that point. But what will actually happen is at the end of a race, all the drivers from 11th and back will pull into the pits. Their positions will be solidified. Whoever finishes 11th, and so on. The top 10 drivers will get double file for a 2-lap shootout. And how that works is that in iRacing, after the cooldown lap, under caution, the pace car pulls off into the pits so that the leader can do their donuts or whatever on the front straight and, you know, do their photo ops. But that's not what we're going to do at that point. When the pace car pulls into the pits at that point, the top 10 trucks are set free and they race for 2 laps. And when those 2 laps are over, the way they cross the line will be the way we award points. We have seen it happen in the SSCA before. And honestly, Sean, it could happen again tonight.
It might, Sam. It might. I don't know. We've seen some great racing for most of the race. You were absolutely right going into this 3rd stage. Obviously, we picked up more cautions here at the 3rd stage than we had at any point this evening. Let's just say, let's chalk it up to Talladega. But the lights are off on the pace car, and I like our chances to get to the checkers. I'm going to remain the optimistic one here. Forget that whole green-white checker thing. Let's go racing. Let's do it to the checkered flag here on this restart.
Worth noting, one of the drivers sitting in the pits with damage to his truck after that incident is Jeff Martin. And that's significant because he was 9th in the points coming into tonight. He got 6 bonus points early on from where he finished in the opening stage of a race, but things have kind of fallen downhill for the number 15 tonight. If the drivers around him in the points, Callist, Richer, Fetty, if they're able to get good finishes, I don't think we will see Jeff Martin advancing to round 2 of the playoffs, unfortunately.
Yeah, he might wind up one of the odd men out.
Robert McFarland also multiple laps down after some misfortune. So it looks like McFarland's done for, Johnson's done for, Martin is not looking good. So at that point, it becomes a fight, I believe, between Kevin Fetty, Ray Richer, Sean Callist, maybe even throw Mark McFadden in that battle. Although, yeah, Mark McFadden is sitting higher on points than the other drivers I mentioned coming into tonight. So still a lot left to be decided. And 4 laps left to sort it all out. And you've been hearing a lot of clutching under these caution laps. Can any of these drivers make it to the end on fuel? What if we have a green-white checkered? Who knows?
That's all right. The X factor.
You got to get in the top 10 here, Sean. If a green-white checker comes out, you want to be able to race for a top 10.
Waiting on the flag patiently.
And you don't have to be patient anymore. Starting now. They're on the loud pedal. Nice restart by the outside line. Nice restart though also by the inside line. They're all tucked closely together.
Boy,
13 trucks left on the lead lap. Hard into the wall. There's our caution. It's Gervais. It's McFadden. It's McFarland. And those drivers, Sean, will not be able to fight for a top 10 finish.
Nope, they're out of it. I really thought we'd get to the checkers. I didn't expect that to erupt, but there you see the contact. And honestly, David Gervais was driving a damaged truck for most of the night, and that might be it. Well, obviously it is it, Sam, as you just mentioned. They won't get a chance to race for a finish here.
So Robert McFarland, we mentioned his chances of racing for round 2 of a playoffs, I think, were already done. The big question here is Mark McFadden. He's not going to have a chance. I mean, he came into the night 6th in the points, but not that many points to the good. I think McFadden's chances of making the playoffs are going to depend on how Fetty... Well, Fetty's going to finish 11th. Fetty's in 11th. Ray Richer is in the top 10, though. Sean Callist is in the top 10, but they're at the tail end of the top 10. So who makes the playoffs is going to depend on what Ray Richer and Sean Callist can do in the green-white checkered. Those two need to pass as many trucks as they can, particularly Sean Callist.
Yep, Callist is going to need to have a great restart here. And, well, you know what? If you've got a rabbit's foot or some lucky dice or something, now's probably not a bad time to hold on to him.
I don't know why Fetty's in the pits. Because I think Fetty ran out of fuel, Sean.
I think you're right, Sam. He's sitting there waiting on a tow.
Well, he was running outside the top 10 anyway. He's not going to be able to return to the track, really. And that's not going to help him in the points. He was only a few points to the good. He hadn't received any stage points all night long.
Okay, so he blew his engine, actually, Sam, on lap 92. On the last lap, he blew it up. Maybe missed a shift on that restart? Possibly.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's give our audience a better visual idea of what's going on here. Let's bring up our point standings again. this is how it looked like entering the night. Okay, so 7th place, Kevin. Okay, it really starts with about, good grief, it could even start 5th on back. Well, Judd Danielson, he's had a bad night, but he comes in with a safe cushion. So let's say Judd Danielson's safe. I don't know if that's the case, but let's say it is. Mark McFadden, he's got a bit more of a cushion, but he's out of a race. He is gonna finish. Well, he's not out of a race. He's gonna finish just outside the top 10. He's not gonna get top 10, that's for sure. I think McFadden will be okay. The question here becomes Fetty. He hasn't picked up any stage points throughout the night, and he's not going to finish in the top 10. He's going to finish about 13th now after blowing his engine. So the question then becomes, Ray Richer, 8th in the points, he's in the top 10, so he's going to be able to race for more positions at the end here. How high can he go? Jeff Martin on the outside looking in, coming into tonight. He retired a little while ago. He's not going to make it. Sean Callist, he is still in the top 10. He can make it. And then Robert McFarland and Joe Johnson have both had bad nights. So really what we're looking at here is Sean Callist and Ray Richer trying to get the best finish possible so that they can push Kevin Fetty and maybe even Mark McFadden out of a top 8. Kevin Fetty, I think I would say there is the one chewing his nails a bit more.
Yeah, Sam, honestly, it almost makes my head hurt at the possibilities here.
Okay, some information from Jeff Martin, one of our drivers competing for the championship in the chat. They are letting the top 12 take the green-white checkered, not just the top 10.
All right, and David Gervais will be the one starting back there in 12th, Sam.
Okay, everyone who is not in the top 12 is currently in the pits. As you mentioned, David Gervais is the 12th of those, although can he even get back out on track? He was involved in that last caution, wasn't he? No, he's still... Yeah, he's smoking. So I think that pretty much wraps up 12th place for Gervais. So what's significant there is it means Mark McFadden is going to be able to race for points at the end of this. So let's assume McFadden's safe. It's really Kevin Fetty, Ray Richer, and Sean Callist, I would say, who are fighting for those final 2 spots. Sean Callist is the one who's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, I don't think much has changed for him here. Callis is got a really, really large hill to climb here. That truck's got a little more damage on it than I'm comfortable with to make a run, Sam.
Alright, now you see at the top of your screen it says final lap. Technically, yes. According to iRacing, this is the final lap of a race. But it's not. So what's going to happen at the end of this lap is the graphics are going to disappear on the screen because they'll be inaccurate from the fact that iRacing assumes the race is over. We're going to have 1 lap left to go until the restart. It'll be a green-white checkered, and to my knowledge, Sean, this series doesn't do multiple attempts at green-white checkered. If they all wreck, they're going to keep going.
Right, to get the 1 shot. You get 1 shot, and it's that's it.
So the action is going to be up front for who can win this. Andrew Fanyas has definitely been the toughest truck to pass for the lead all night long. He's been the controlling force of the race. He hasn't won the race, even though he completed lap 94. So behind him, we got Regan, Jones, Campbell, Barnes, Dullard, Bonwell, Richer, and I'm pretty sure none of the top 8 there are racing for points. However, when you get back to the 3 drivers behind him, Ray Richter in 8th is. So the top 7 are not racing for points, but Richter, Hartman, Callis and McFadden in 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th have all got to try and race and gain as many points as possible right now. The only one of them that's safe is Hartman.
Well, Hartman picked good night to be lucky, Sam. Now, he earned those points.
Yeah, and that, I'll counter that by saying Mark McFadden is probably also safe. If the worst, he can finish as 11th. He definitely doesn't want Sean Callis and Ray Richter to finish 1st and 2nd, though. Alright. What do you think we're going to see here, Sean? Anyone run out of fuel?
I don't think anybody's going to run out of fuel. I think Andrew Farnyard's going to win this race. I honestly think he's shown all night. He's been able to put the truck in the right place at the right time, and I think he's going to be really hard to beat, especially if Dylan Jones stays connected and right on his tail there.
All right, the pace car is going to peel into the pits. The pace car thinks it's letting the winner celebrate his victory. That is far from the case. In fact, Farnyard has 2 more laps to hold off 10 trucks behind him, 3 of which are trying to make their way into round 2 of the playoffs. Regan restarts up high. It's a much nicer restart by the inside lane. However, Farnyard may have gotten too good of a jump over Jones.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We're cranked up and underway.
Regan 3rd, Campbell 4th, Barnes 5th, all single file, Dullard 6th, Bonwell 7th, Richter 8th, Hartman 9th, Callis 10th, McFadden with damage is trailing along back in 11th. Here we go, coming to the high side comes Regan. The top 2 are the only 2 on the low side right now. Regan trying to side draft, then gets into the side of Farnyard.
Oh, that's it. Farnyard, so much for my pick. Wow, I jinxed him. Commentator's curse definitely in play.
Regan gets hit by Bonwell, and the red truck is in that too. Richter gets into it. That is not going to help Richter's championship chances. He got the last piece of that because, of course, we stay green. The white is out. It is the final lap. Jones, Barnes, Dullard and Campbell are all that's left fighting for the win of this sin.
Oh, Barnes is going to lose his shot to go high. Dullard's coming alongside. Oh, no, and Barnes is around. Dullard got him. Barnes didn't know he was there.
And then there were 2. Jones and Campbell. Side by side, Gerald Campbell, the run up high. This has allowed Michael Dullard. He's continuing in 3rd place at a reduced rate of speed. The 2 leaders still banging on each other's fenders. I don't know if we'll have any trucks left to come across the finish line, but Jones and Campbell are on their way down to the D Oval now. Jones on the low side in the 23, Campbell on the high side in the 6. Jones with the edge by half a track length. Jones is going to take a victory at Talladega. Campbell 2nd. Who will limp across the line in 3rd? It's Michael Dullard. 4th place will go to Hartman. 5th place will go to Callis. That is huge for Sean Callis. Is that enough to get him into the playoffs?
Boy, if anyone ever needed some luck, it was Sean Callis. He might have just got it right there, Sam.
Well, we've got some math to do, and that takes us some time here at the GSRC. I don't know how to call this, Sean.
I don't know either.
yeah, we're going to need a moment here, guys. We're going to come back and we're going to give you, to the best of our knowledge, the unofficial race results and who's making it to the playoffs. Don't go away. Hi guys, welcome back here to Talladega Superspeedway. It was all a bit hectic at the end. At the end of the race, I believe we had just 8 cars left running across the line. The 2 of them side by side for the win. That was Dylan Jones ahead of Gerald Campbell. Michael Dullard came home in 3rd in the beat-up number 31 machine, ahead of our first playoff driver to cross the line, William Hartman, in 4th. In 5th behind was Sean Callis. That is huge. That gives him a lot of points. And we haven't done the math now yet to see if that will lock him into the playoffs. We'll get to that in just a moment. Kyle Barnes came home in 6th place ahead of Regan. In 8th position was Mark McFadden. He's being ranked ahead of Farnyards, although I saw that one in a different order, but we're being told McFadden was 8th and Farnyards was 9th place. All of this, of course, is completely unofficial. Bonwell, he came home in 10th position, and then Richard came home in 11th. And let's go ahead and get to page 2 of the official race results here, Sean, because McFadden there was not 11th, Ray Richard was 11th, but everything after that is accurate.
Right.
If you wouldn't mind reading out the rest of the order, I'm going to do some calculating.
Okay, David Gervais is going to come home 12th, Kevin Fetty 13th. Mike Donahue with a 14th place finish. That car hung on all night. He picked up his damage early. Daniel Jackson with a 15th place finish. He was up actually contending for the win earlier on in this race. Gary Sheldon, 16th. 17th for Jeff Martin. Jeremy Crandall, 18th place. Jason Eisenhower, 19th. And a 19 of Eric Stainer going to round out our top 20 there. And then we'll drop down to 21st here on the board. And that's Adam Eisenhower. Judd Danielson in the Dirty Air Studios Toyota. Number 17 is in 22nd and 9. The double lot, Robert McFarland. It was a tough night for Robert. 23rd. 24th for Joe Johnson. Had one shot. He had to win it or go home. And Joe Johnson, unfortunately, 24th, is not going to advance to the next round. Russ Coe will finish 25th tonight. William Davis in 26th. 27th going to be Derek Fisher. David Washington, 28th, and Gerald did not make the start of this race. I don't believe he didn't turn any laps. And that is your field. Sam is working on those points here, and we've got some drivers waiting on interviews.
Yeah, Sean,
let's
go
talk
ahead.
to Dylan Jones.
Yeah, we'll give this to you, Sean.
All right. Get Dylan Jones in here. Dylan, congratulations. Tell you what, man, that was a hard-fought race. We picked up a lot of cautions there late. You hung on, though. You even had some connection problems, and you still managed to hang on for a win. Congratulations. And Dylan, we can't hear you. Are you there, buddy? Give Dylan a second. I heard him key up there. Why don't you try keying your mic down, Dylan? Now we've got you.
There we go.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I've been having a little bit of connection issues the last couple nights. We got to get that fixed. But as for the race, the end of the race, I don't even know what happened there. It's pretty much all a blur for me right there. But during the mid part of the race, we were just sitting there riding, avoiding a couple wrecks. It was pretty clean.
And you seem to be glued to Farnyards quite a bit. Did a lot of work with him. Was that the plan?
Yeah, he's a teammate of ours. We were trying to work with there at the end. I was going to be content with pushing him to the end there because there wasn't really much options. Figured if I would have jumped out there, we would have got freight trained some way or another. And like I said, I don't really know what happened to him. I seen him get up the track, and then there was just carnage.
Well, you know what? You avoid the carnage and win, which means you're going to get that snazzy set of headsets being given away by SSCA Sim Racing, and you've got to be happy about that.
Yeah, I actually just broke a really nice pair of headset about a week ago, so it'll be nice.
Yeah, all right. Well, you know what? Boy, timing is everything, and picked a good night here to be in the Sim Speed Shop Truck Series, and we appreciate you taking some time for the interview here. Anybody you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just give a big thanks to everyone at SSCA for putting this on. All the guys at GSRC for broadcasting, and it should be fun to watch for sponsoring the event, and just all the racers tonight.
All right. Well, listen, Dylan, again, thanks a lot. Congratulations. Enjoy those headsets. I'm sure they'll show up in your mail soon. But Sam, I think you're ready to maybe talk to Gerald Campbell here.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah, Gerald, holding on a quick second here because I've been doing some math while Sean was talking to our race winner there. This is completely unofficial, but unfortunately for Sean Callist fans, I don't believe his 5th place finish was enough to make it into the playoffs. It looks like Jeff Martin, Sean Callist, Robert McFarland, and Joe Johnson, the 4 drivers who are on the outside looking in, coming into tonight, will not be advancing to round 2 of the playoffs. Again, that is unofficial and very unfortunate for Sean Callist, considering he came home with a 5th place finish. But Gerald Campbell, you came home with a 2nd place finish. What a wild couple of final laps. And boy, you almost had the win.
Yeah, it was a close one, that was for sure. I was trying to make sure I raced him clean at the end. We bumped into each other a little bit, but that was just, I think that hurt me more than it hurt him. But yeah, I didn't have to worry about points because I wasn't in the points for these guys. But that made one small adjustment to all the pressure and all the carnage and all the craziness that comes with Talladega. But just enjoyed myself. Got to work with Richard Regan, and I got to work with Kyle, and we were trying to get those Aegis guys up there. They were controlling the show and having too much fun up there. So we were like, well, it's time to get up there. So at the end, we were just moving it along. But real quick, those guys that lost, that are out of the series, I know them all, and they're all good people. So it stinks for all of them, but I know how good of a guys those are. They're going to be here every time, even if they're not in the points, because they're just the type of drivers that really support this series and good friends of ours.
Yeah, again, that's unofficial points calculations there. It was very close. Very intense championship battle going on there. Of course, Gerald, you're involved in another one over in a different SSCA division. What made you want to come here and race with these truck guys here tonight?
A few reasons. 1, I love to race. 2, these trucks are amazing, and this series always puts on a good show, regardless if it's the trucks, the cups, and it's really, really, really good ran. And I get to be on an interview with you guys. That's pretty awesome. Plus, I wanted those headsets, but that's I didn't get those.
You got very close to getting them. Congratulations, though, on a 2nd place finish out here tonight, Gerald, and thanks for coming on and putting on the show for us tonight.
Anytime, and just thank my wife that actually watched me race and was with me through the practice sessions. And it gets kind of boring here at Talladega doing the practice 1 laps and everything. So thank her, and thank the VFW and everyone else that watched the show. And we'll put on more shows for everyone, so come and watch.
All right, and rounding out our podium, just behind him, Sean, although his truck wasn't as pretty as it was at the start, you've caught up with Mike Dallard.
Well, you know what? There's a reason his truck wasn't pretty. It was because he was racing hard. And Mike, every time I saw you in the field, you were in the middle of something. You were banging around like a pinball inside a machine off those bumpers, man. What was it like out there tonight?
Well, I tell you what, Sean, it was hectic. I had my hands full, my legs were shaking, my palms were sweating. About everything you could expect from a super speedway race.
Yeah, and then maybe a little bit even more there at the end. The finish was absolutely crazy. How did you avoid all that? What was going through your mind at that moment?
Well, if you noticed, I didn't avoid all of it. I had somebody come up and there wasn't enough room, but I just kept the throttle down and said to hell with it. We got 1 more lap to go. And,
well, you pull through. And you know what? Sometimes that's all you have to do here at Talladega is pull through. You just like Gerald Campbell, come up just short on those headphones that were out there for the win How badly did you need a set of those?
You know, they're always handy. I've got a really nice set here, but you can always use another nice set as a backup, or maybe they fit better. Who knows?
Never know, right? Exactly. Well, Mike, you plan to come back and do any more racing with us here before the Sim Speed Shop Truck Series is done?
Yeah, I plan on being a weekly contender. You know, I come up short a few times there, otherwise I'd be in the chase. But it is what it is. It's a great group of guys here, and I wouldn't miss a week for the world. So I look forward to coming back next week.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great attitude to have. And boy, before we let you go, I'm sure there's got to be one or two people you'd love to thank.
I'd like to thank my teammates over at Smooth Operator Motorsports and everything they do for me and getting prepared for this kind of stuff. Sponsors, Concrete Supply, Toyota Tundra was fast, so I can't complain there. We had plenty of power, plenty of speed. We could make moves whenever we wanted to. So everybody that had a part in this, and especially the guys over at SSCA, they put on a great show. Ryan's a hell of an administrator, Gary, all those guys. So hats off to them.
Mike, do you have your hands up right now? Are you talking with your hand? Do you know what to do with your hands? I'm just curious. I'm sorry. It was a bad joke. Nobody got it. Anyway,
I don't know what to do with my hands. My hands are always up. I kid you not. I'm sitting here Ricky Bobby style. It's crazy.
Oh, hey, Mike, thank you so much for playing along. Listen, have a great evening, and congratulations again on a podium finish. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, Sam, and that was Mike Dullard. What a night for him. Again, that truck was just it was in the middle of everything all night, and what a great way to finish after all that hard work. You heard him. He was just a mess there at the end. But a great race indeed this evening here at Talladega.
Definitely a race that is going to be remembered for quite a while. Maybe the most chaotic race we'll see in SSCA for, I don't know, about 22 hours or so. Sean, the Cup Series racing tomorrow night at the Charlotte Roval. That'll be an interesting one.
The Charlotte Roval. I like the way you say it. Yeah, no, don't miss that, folks. Be there for that race. It's going to be a good one.
And for the truck action, these guys will be back in 2 weeks' time at Martinsville. Hopefully the trucks will look a little bit prettier coming across the finish line there, but do not count on it. We would like to thank all of the organisers and the competitors of the SSCA and the Sim Speed Shop Truck Series for coming out here tonight and putting on a wild show. We would also like to thank all of the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts, and there you can see them all listed on your screen. Additional thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde to provide us with our great music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Joe and Dougie, as well as Nicholas Schmeg, who was helping us out behind the scenes. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, and Instagram at GSRC_gram. All of the upcoming races for our other series are listed on your screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.